I'd be willing.
What? Sorry about that, but we apparently we went live and we got something happened and we got kicked off.
Oh,
if you were watching and we got kicked off, I apologize. I just noticed up on the corner, I'm like, it went live. We did the whole thing. And I'm looking at my screen and it's like, go live. I'm like, wait a minute. I went live. I hit the thing and we went live. So I apologize, everybody. Anybody who's watching, somebody was watching. We were getting comments.
Did nobody see the first 5 minutes?
I don't know. That was.
Hey, Darcy, if you're still out there, did you see us talking?
We missed the whole first of the show.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. That's crazy. We lost that time. It just the thing didn't loop. Holy crap! That's awesome.
I even made a joke about you, Kilter. I mean, we
were joking and talking cool shit. And this is the second time that's happened to me on this. I really got to check that. I fucked up. I should have hit the banner first, then hit live. I hit live and then hit the banner.
Do you ever catch yourself making a mistake and you're like, holy shit, this is exactly what my parents felt like in 80 when I was trying to program their VCR for them.
So we're commenting on the comments. Hello, welcome everybody. Everybody's like, I appreciate everybody keeping us thing. Are you guys okay? Is Matt pooping? Howdy y'all. Jesus Christ. Anyway, so we were talking about the comment I made was that one. Well, I'm gonna go to the first comment. We were talking about is the online video TTRPG market, is it almost saturated? Is there almost too many shows? And we were talking about that, and can it get saturated? And Tim said yes, it could, and he gave a great matter of fact. The soliloquy was so awesome we can't even repeat it.
Yeah, well, if there's just too many different things happening in a game, and I said something like, if there's like an Old West Cthulhu with a Star Trek twist or something like that, that it just gets to be too mentally crowded to play a game and allow characters to develop in that game. And I think that's what good stories are all about, is allowing the characters to develop within that storyline. You don't really read a story for what you think you're reading it for, the beginning, the twist, the end. It's really about how the characters react to it. That's where you get that connection with the book or whatever you're reading, whatever you're interacting with. So I am totally down with the idea that there can be too much. And we also, while you guys missed the first 5 minutes, we also talked about the fact that what I'm really yearning for right now is going back to just playing a straight period piece. Play like World War II squad in Germany, or play just like Old West. You're a sheriff in a town, or you're a bunch of deputies or you're playing a posse, or even like the Roman era or prehistoric caveman stuff. I just want to play a simple, lengthy, allow the characters to develop vertically story.
Tim is but a simple man.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you start, it wasn't enough to play Eat the Reich. They had to be like vampires and werewolves and
well, there's a draw to that. Trying that, I mean, my lamentation when we were playing it, and this is well known within our group, was that we didn't play a long continuous game with the same characters. I wanted to play that. And we sort of did that with initially we did this for Sex, Drug, and Saving Throws, but Tim wasn't a part of that. But we had Dragonbane, which, my God, we played into the earth.
And all the characters evolved in that game. I think that, right now, I think he just put out episode 29. So that means he's got 20 to go or something like that. That's you're going to watch the characters evolve even more. So.
Yeah. And, and I think, folks, the top secret games that are going to be, jokingly, it's more like Spies Like Us. And, but, it's not that serious. I'm playing a guy, his code name's the Masher, for God's sakes.
I'm playing the nerd from, I can't remember if it's South Park or Simpsons, the one that's, hi, and with his always pushing his glasses up on his face.
Yeah,
That's
you know, yeah, you're playing the guy who you sound like, the name's like a New Yorker name. So
yeah, yeah. And it is not anti-Semitic as much as Nathan wants it to be. It's not. The guy's name is Sheldon Bagelman, and that's honestly a name that Chat GBT came up for me. That was it. Just wanted a nerd name. I said, give me a nerd's name. Think Revenge of the Nerds from the '80s.
I just want to let you know. I just did a search
Yeah,
for that. I probably should have
yeah,
done it before the show.
yeah.
Yes, Bagelman is considered a Jewish name, particularly of the Ashkenazi Jewish origin. You have called old school like Yiddish. You've dug deep into like biblical times.
He can be a nerd. Doesn't have to be
No,
about his
it's
religion.
fine.
He's good.
I never knew that.
He's the
Now I
hero of
learned
the
something.
story. In my mind, that's the thing. We only play the heroes of the story. That's ultimately what we should be doing. So he's going to be the hero of the story.
Yeah, yeah. He, he will. I like the thing. Critical issues me as a newbie player. We'll watch that. I've had that happen before, especially. Okay, that's a
Mm-hmm.
good, interesting comment. Tombstone Frank. Um, so yeah, so the thing about our podcast is, so Matt and Nathan have conflicting things they get upset about, right, Tim?
Oh
They
yeah.
worry about, and it's
Mm-hmm.
funny to see them debate.
Well, that's like any other old married couple. I mean, that just happens.
Yeah, it is funny. And meanwhile, then there's like Chris and me and everybody, you and everybody else throwing fuel on the fire by just saying every little silly thing that comes into our minds. Most of this is off screen, even on screen, like innocent stuff. Just that we know will pluck them. It's hilarious. No, I wouldn't like that. Like something like a simple game with simple rules. Like, I mean, Twilight 2000s. He,
Yeah,
he
I
never
mean,
puts out anymore. I'm sorry, Nathan. I didn't know. Maybe you need some, some sort of drugs or something to help with that. Some roof.
post-apocalyptic, kind of like horror, right? Is that kind of what Twilight 2000 is? Or
Yeah. So, but
yeah,
that's really, the rules are crunchy and it's really lethal. If you play Twilight 2000, we tried. Just remember, if you let anybody listen, we started trying to go. I actually tried to play a serious character, and I did the whole time actually, and we just sort of went off on it's not horror. No, it's not horror. It's just post-apocalyptic,
oh,
nuclear
okay.
war, 1990s tech, and all that stuff.
Maybe it was just your characters that I thought were horrific. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what it
that
was.
could have been it. Could have been it.
Mhm.
Blanco Fantasma. That's when Tony
Yeah.
introduced this character. That's when I knew we were going off the rails. Matt is elsewhere, so no PowerPoint. Yes, that's right. There will be no PowerPoint tonight. But that's the only game I think we've really played that's like crunchy like that. But we
Mhm.
didn't even take it as crunchy as we should, because we didn't do like
Mhm.
the throws and the radiation poisoning, all that stuff. I don't think Nathan's capable of being that serious. Yeah, I just think, I don't think that's his I think he could do it, but I don't think that's his wheelhouse. Matt, I
Mhm.
definitely could do it. You can definitely do it too as well. Um, but it would be nice. Okay, what did Darcy say? I wanted to run a group of schlubs that is always overshadowed by a group of true heroes.
Mhm. Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Battle,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
battle.
mean, that's what all the other PCs felt like when in Dragonbane, when they were just Quiverwing and friends, right? I mean,
Oh yeah, quivering your
yeah,
friends,
yeah,
because
yeah.
you played the guy. Tyr and Chris both have radiation poisoning at the end of Always Cloudy. I don't remember that, Nathan. But you're probably right because you're running it. Battle Lords is crunchy, and Battle Lords is a very crunchy game, and if you act stupid, you get overwhelmed with creatures, as I found out.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know. We might run a game like that. You want to
Well,
play in a game. You want to play in a game like that, Tim, right? You don't want to
I
run.
do, I do. So when you guys did my cast interview, remember we talked about my favorite games, and one of them was one that we ran for like 2 years, where it was all the Malcolm's Akritan kind of mobile suit game,
Oh
that the
yeah.
home built system, and we all just kind of grew up in those characters. So
Oh
My,
shit!
you know,
I'm so terrible at typing. Go ahead.
no, it's okay. So when I commit to playing or running a game, I always want it to be a lengthy one because I want to build a, a a story with multiple story arcs with multiple characters that have their own missions. I want to build really something that'll allow the characters to evolve. So,
Yeah, I could see something to that.
mhm,
Um, we just got to figure out who's going to run it. I mean, I haven't
mhm.
run anything successfully yet, um, except no,
No,
I
uh,
haven't run anything.
well, didn't you do the
Mothership.
yeah, Mothership, right?
No, you don't know that story.
Oh,
You should watch it.
I played in it.
No, no, you didn't play. You're being funny now. Remember, everybody jumped on, and that was a different Mothership episode.
Oh.
That was with
Oh,
oh
Nathan
shit.
ran that Mothership,
Yeah, it
didn't
was
he?
Machismo and the Magnificent was my character. Hey, hello, brother. Come on, let's go. And that was my character because I try and do
Mhm,
voices like me. I think I'm
mhm.
the only one in our group besides Malcolm that tries to do voices.
I'm gonna try in this top secret game. I'm gonna try to do my nerd voice throughout. I'm really gonna give it a shot.
Guys,
Yeah.
you don't know when you start podcasting, you want to try and make the game better. You try voices. Chris doesn't do voices, but Chris speaks like 4 languages. So if we do something and somebody speaks French or Italian or some other thing,
Mhm,
he just like, oh, pasta. He just goes. I'm like, yeah, I hate you. I hate you. Took me a year to learn barroom German when I went to Germany and Bavaria and Austria, and I lost all of it. But he's like, oh, just speaks it. Son of a bitch.
I want dry glassa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stock. Sein
Yeah,
Stock Bier.
well, you gotta say it that way. Dry
Yeah.
dry.
Sein
Yeah,
Stock
yeah,
Bier.
yeah.
Stark is strong. Sein is 3. I know Sein is 2. Sorry. See, I've
Yeah.
already forgot. Stock beer is the important one. Strong
Mhm,
beer. And it is strong beer. Trust me, I found out.
mm.
Um, so let's see what's this. Tombstone Frank. B Slubs Games is Savage Worlds Necessary Evil. Grade D villains to heroes.
Yeah, yeah. So Malcolm always wants to run Savage Worlds, and I get that. He likes the system. I enjoyed the system the couple of times that I played Savage World Supers. Um, I don't even know what it's called, like Heroes or whatever it is, but
Yeah, it's Savage. I forgot.
yeah, I think it's Savage World Hero or Supers. But yeah, my I was playing a teen um super in that game. It was during one of our geek weekends long time ago.
Well, we started a supers game, and we had to drop out. Malcolm had to drop out. We were filming it, and we had to drop not filming it. We were recording it, and
Mhm,
we had to drop out. And I was playing like a Batman type of character, and
mhm.
he wants to reset and replay that. I think that's something we're going to play down the road. And it was pretty cool. He had a storyline. My friend, everybody who watches this knows Malcolm builds a really good world
Yeah.
if given the opportunity. It's very
Mhm.
rich.
Yeah.
Um, so whereas I take a piece of paper with pre-gen and go with it. So my plan is to do that.
Yeah, I need
Oh,
I need lots of source material for the games that I run.
yes, Teddy Roosevelt. Yes, yes, Matt. That's Matt. He played Teddy Roosevelt. He made the
Yes, you
dead
did.
president. He played a dead president. I think everybody did. Did everybody play a dead president or just
No, that was the game. No, that was the one where I played the teen the
Yeah, because
teen
I didn't.
Firestarter.
I was not there for that weekend, so I heard about it though.
Yeah.
So so we talked about like, yeah, Savage Worlds is a good system. I know Matt's trying to change our D&D game into that. I
Yeah.
think for people that's easy system to convert to because it has a little of everything.
Mhm.
Even though you can't like do some of the things you can't do in other games. You sort of got to use
Mhm.
one of the powers or perks, or you got to sort of fudge something with the
You want to
ex-
hear one of my dirty little secrets about fantasy games? I
yeah,
actually liked Dragonbane more than Dungeons and Dragons.
like
I thought
modern
that
Dungeons and Dragons.
yeah, like 5e. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm running a 5e game right now, and I think we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, but
Yes, we are.
but the something about the way that the mechanics of that game run, the combat was quick. It was not it was detailed enough to be to be useful. It wasn't like that cop out narrative stuff that Nathan always wants to run. It had some mechanics associated with it. There was an element of risk associated with it, but it was still a rich story environment. D&D, don't get me wrong, I love D&D. It's been around a long time and it certainly has evolved in interesting directions. But it is not as easy to get through a combat. We could get through remember the combat that we had in I want to say somewhere around episode 20 where we fought the big spider
Giant?
thing. Yeah,
Oh, a giant spider.
the oracle spider that
Oh,
we
yes.
fought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't have even bothered to kill it because it actually was supporting the local village. But yeah, I mean that combat it took, what was that, 2 hours maybe tops for the entire combat.
It was more just a spider, though. It was said minions of the spider. There was a lot of little things going on with that.
Yeah, there were a lot of like medium and small size swarms that we had to deal with and stuff like that. But the rules weren't difficult to understand. The rolling was very simple. The combat just moved. I mean, it moves.
Yeah.
Let's get through to the next story. Get to the next paragraph.
Yeah. Problem with modern D&D, it's almost gotten too gimmicky. You got to rein it in. It's like, and they make it so like there's so much shit, and there's a point where you get too much.
Yeah.
And I think that's the point. Like you could do this, play anything, do anything, be any. And I'm like there's nothing evil. I sort of like the evil race, the concept of the evil race. I sort of liked
the drow. You don't want to play an elf, you want to play a drow.
Yeah, and you could play a drow, but there are penalties to that. And because you are not like the other drow. Yeah. You saw behind the shade and screen, less combat choice and drag maybe it's still effective.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Kilter. You're absolutely right, but it's not a that for me. The combat is less important than the story, and so having less choice, all I'm really sacrificing there is having more time for the story that happens in between the combats. Yeah, so that's where my values are. Other people have different values. I get that.
There was a charm to Dragonbane when we first started playing. One of the discussions we had, and we had offline and on one of our podcasts. All right, is it was nice. It was more. It was reminiscent of older D&D, which was very simplified. You only had a few classes, a few races. Yeah, and they just had only a few spells, and you can only do so much. And it was more balanced. And the newer games, it's cool. I get it, but also at the same time, part of me is like, it's just too much. Sometimes it's like, yeah, it's too much. I want it simpler. If I wanted crazy stuff, I'd play like a point system game, like Champions, where you can put stuff together and do crazy stuff. And someone playing says 85 running 5e Spelljammer game now. I love Dragonbane more as well. It reminds me a lot of Warhammer Fantasy RPG. I've heard that before. Lots of fun there. Yeah. I played Warhammer once, 40K. Years ago. It was in college back in the day when it first came out.
You played with us at Geek Weekend. Matt was running this game on Friday nights.
Dude, that's such a lethal game. Like, you lose your arm. Like, whoa, what just happened? Yeah. It's like, but it was because it's Warhammer, and Warhammer is like everything's for the Emperor. It's really brutal. And it's fun, but it's sort of like, oh my God, it's like sort of like playing Battle Lords. It really is in some respects. You could just get like smeared, like, in no time if you're not careful.
If you all I really need from any combat system is the element of risk. So yeah, you're going to lose your arm sometimes, or even a character like Quiverwing is going to on one time out of 20, he's going to critically fail that roll. He's going to turn into a bear. He's going to lose his memory or whatever. Awesome. Yeah. So it's that element of risk associated with the actions that you need in order to help the story move along. And I don't need 1,000 options for everything I might be able to do. And multi-classing, I'm a half orc bard wizard. I mean, that's it. I mean, it's just plus they got all this they got all those homegrown stuff now from the online homebrew stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's just, it gets to be so dislodged. It's not that it's too complicated. It's just that it's disconnected from the rest of the universe.
Yeah, that all depends what you're playing. Some people, if that's something you like, that's great.
Yeah.
Coming from a simpler time, I sound like an old man. Like before, when we had leaded gas, it was great. We sucked it
Right.
in.
Right.
But I don't mean it that way. I just think it's nice to have very limited system. So if you play a 5, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Hmm.
There's some cool, like our not Shadowrun, shit. Our Sex, Drugs, and Saving Throws game uses D&D.
Hmm.
But the thing is, Matt reins us in. We're not doing crazy shit with it.
Hmm.
We're just all having fun. We're each playing our class and going. I have so out of touch with D&D. I was playing it. I'm playing like a bar. It was supposed to be. Remember, guys, I play a halfling barbarian, which shouldn't exist, but it does, and it's
I
funny.
got you beat in my 5e game. One of the characters being played is a yordle, and if you could look it up, it's a
That's a
homebrew.
turtle.
No, that's yordle.
Okay.
Yordle with an
Okay.
O
Sorry. Ooh.
is a 2 foot tall character, and it counts as tiny for the purposes of the game mechanics. And he's playing a yordle barbarian. I'm like, where the hell are you even going to hang your axe? I mean, the axes are 3 feet long, and he's a 2 foot tall creature. It's just weird, it's disconnected from the universe in such a way that it's just difficult to account for. So basically, every time they encounter, regular villagers, it's always like, what is that? Is that a gnome baby? I mean, it's like, is that a gnomish toddler that you have there carrying your axes?
Well, at that point, you're sort of paying like an because some people do use D&D system, which is fun,
Yeah.
like to do like an anime type of thing, which I've heard and seen. So I'm like, okay, I mean, that is the good thing about 5e. You can do so much craziness with it. You can create a
Yeah.
game like an anime type of game, or like it's like what was it? Who did so Brendan Lee Mulligan and was it Dimension 20? Uh,
Mm.
they did Tiny Heist and they used that. And it was all like little pixies, like little, I want to say like pixie-esque creatures. And it was amusing. The world was amusing, and it was all little fae guys doing stuff, living in a real world, like,
Mhm.
hiding from the people, and I thought that they did a candy one, and that's where that would work. I think that system's perfect for Dragon Bait would
Well,
not work for that. I will say
no,
that.
it wouldn't. That's true. That's true. But you could still simplify the rules and allow the story to move along. Is
Well, the
I think,
story moves along, I think.
yeah,
I just think I mean, it depends on what you're doing with it. God damn, I'm shitting all over D&D right now. I shouldn't be doing that because I do like
no.
playing it.
I mean, I like D&D too. Like I said, I'm still really enjoying this game that I'm running for these
Oh,
high
yeah, so
schoolers.
let's roll into that. Actually, we're
Mhm.
technically halfway through the podcast, even though we missed the first 5 minutes of it. Let's
Yeah.
let's go. Tell me about the game you're running, Tim.
Yeah, so my daughter's high school friends, I'm not going to name names. They have a really fun like campaign going. I ran a one shot just to get them familiar with the system, because it was one of the worst setups of all time. First of all, there's 8 of them, and
Mhm.
playing a D&D game with 8 characters, there just isn't room. There isn't time in the day to even have any viable NPCs. So they are running the game, and I'm just kind of the only NPC I have is a god that is interacting with them frequently, because again, none of them played a fighter, none of them played a rogue, none of them played a ranger. It's like, with the exception of the 2 foot tall barbarian, they have nobody that does melee weapons. It's all like warlocks and clerics and wizards, and I mean spellcasters, and then there's like this 2 foot tall barbarian. So so I'm stuck. It changes how you do a scenario when everybody wants to stay in the back and cast spells, but there's this one little guy running up and hacking at somebody. He's like, I'm a ranger, and then he runs in and he whacks him with a hammer or something like that.
Sadly, that person has adamite knee braces, and you can't leap higher. I
Right.
go for the crotch; it's too tall.
Yeah, and they've had situations where one character throws him in the middle of the bad guys, and then they just wow, 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 and then everybody's out magic missiling and doing the other stuff. Um, But that part aside, and I've told them that that's annoying. And as soon as one of them dies, I'm going to force them to play a fighter. whoever dies
Oh, wait a
first has to play a ranger.
Oh my
Hey, there's
God!
Malcolm.
Look who it is. Speaking of which, be a storyteller and use the rules as a guide. Speaking of
Yes,
storyteller,
fantastic.
you
Thank you,
you
Tombstone Frankie.
you talked
Absolutely
up
right.
Malcolm. Go ahead, Malcolm. Speak.
You're
You're on
muted.
mute.
No, are we doing this again?
Are we doing this again? I thought you fixed it. Unplug
Mm.
your mic from the computer.
Uh-oh. Ooh, I thought we were going to get a dick pic there. Okay.
That
No,
would
it
have been
didn't
awesome.
happen. Didn't happen. Oh, no. Okay. You keep teasing it, Malcolm. Stop teasing it.
Okay. Did you unplug it? Speak, Malcolm. He hasn't spoke. I can't tell if it's working or not. Doesn't say your mic's not working. It says your mic's working on.
Okay, Malcolm, move your lips and I'll speak for you. Ready? Go ahead.
Still not working.
Oh,
no, Malcolm, we can hear you.
Yay, we hear you now.
We hear you.
We can
Malcolm,
hear you.
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, but I can't hear you.
Oh, okay. Unplug your headphones.
We got you on mic. Your mic is working.
Or his computer mic is working. Switch your headphones on. Can you hear me? This is great, guys.
Yeah. This is fantastic content. So while Malcolm works on that, I'll continue my thought on my. Can you hear us now,
Guys,
Malcolm?
I can't hear you.
So do you unplug your earphones? Well, I gotta say, oh god, private chat. Unplug your earphones. Read
Kilter.
my lips. Okay,
No new taxes.
Back in.
Kilter is ready for tier 1. He's a tier 1 help desk guy now.
I know.
Anywye, I've told them that the first one in that 5e
Can you guys
game,
hear me?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Is that a
yes?
Yeah, we hear
we
you.
Can hear you.
Okay. Can't hear you, but okay.
So can you unplug your Can you take these? Like unplug it? Can you jerk me off? God, I want him to answer yes, please. No. Okay.
No, it does not. It now just failed. Great.
I want you to toss my salad.
You have to be our age to even get that joke,
I know. Maybe. Unplug. I'm trying. He's not late. Unplug your earphones. Oh. We can all hear Malcolm. He can't hear us, guys. So I love the original stuff and the classes for days. D1000 rolls are just a laugh. My daughters are a dwarf fighter and a mallard mage, and we just had a mallard mage.
No, Tombstone Frank is the dad of Mad Mage Mallory.
Oh, I was not aware of that. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So,
okay, go on about your game. Malcolm jumped off.
Yeah, so they're unbalanced in that way. So there's that, but the ones who had never played before, they just had this vision of what they wanted to play. Like one of them wanted to play a wizard because their favorite character from Lord of the Rings was Gandalf, so they wanted to play Gandalf, stuff like that.
That's all right.
Yeah, it's fine. Whatever they need to get them into the story. But my only NPC is a god because 3 of the 8 all serve the same god. As a paladin, as a cleric, whatever. And they so he interacts. He's really my only NPC.
God damn it. I lost Malcolm's number. Well, that's okay. Malcolm just has to move. Yeah, we'll fix your audio. Well, let's try again. Malcolm?
Yes.
You can hear us?
Yes.
Woo-hoo!
Everything works. My God.
Just weird thing.
Yes.
Your only NPC?
Say again?
You said your only NPC?
Yeah, my only NPC is a god. So because I have these characters who I have 8 players in my 5e game that I'm running, and they're all my daughter's friends from school who wanted to play D&D, and there's no room, there's no time in the day for having an NPC of my own to kind of help guide the story along. So I'm guiding the story as a god who interjects into what's happening, and moves the story along, because several of the characters serve him. There's a
Interesting.
paladin, and there's a cleric, and there's a bard who's a devotee of that god. So among the 8, there's like this core of people who follow him.
I see.
He's a gnomish god of trickery named Garl Glitterstone, and he gives blessings in the form of glitter,
Okay.
which does thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I thought you were going to go like toward a righteous gemstone type of thing.
Well, that appears okay. That's fine.
yeah. I don't run games like this very often, but it's a lot of fun.
Okay,
I've really enjoyed playing. What I really wanted to talk about was playing with this generation, these Gen Zers, that are coming up. They really have a different style than we had, and it's not better, it's not worse, it's just different. They value different things, and I'm starting to wrap my head around. It's really helping me to understand my own daughter a little bit better, playing with her friends, and kind of understanding, watching them interact with each other, seeing how they work out situations. Like,
do they talk, or they do it on their phones? They text each other around the table.
No, it's just, I'm sure it's not that bad, right?
Shut up, Boomer. Yeah,
I'm a Gen X motherfucker. Fuck off. Whatever.
No, they're not quite that bad. They are all screenagers, obviously, but they are also, it's actually appears to be the norm across all the generations, is the fact that when they're trying to figure out something, everybody, whether it was us in the 80s and 90s or them today, they yell at each other. Like somehow
increasing
the volume of your voice makes you righter.
I know, Tim, that
I think that's going to be a constant throughout all of humanity.
Well, well, Malcolm, you would just do some eloquent soliloquy into something to make us look bad.
Maybe, but one thing I found is like I think there is a different play style depending on which generation you're working with. Like, most of my players are millennials, and it's just slightly different way in which they handle the things we handle.
Okay.
Not so that it's unfamiliar. No, just that it's also their play styles are slightly different. There's a lot more efficiency in the sense that it's not like the point squeezing or it's just like more efficient about they figure out what the things they need to do and they do it. But I figure that comes from the same thing that I was running to it near the end of during our late gaming, was that people played more computer games and video games. That became ways they maximize how effective they were in a particular situation. So that's understandable. There is a need for emotional depth, which I didn't which is often difficult to drag out of Gen Xers all the time.
That's really interesting that you should say that. I actually required, as part of our setup for the game, that they didn't just build a character. I wanted to know how they were actually connected to other characters at the table. So they would all go around, talk about what they were, and then I wanted them to go around and talk about who they were in relation to each other. And that helped us to establish bonds of kinship and things like that. And I also created a home rule in 5e in that if the characters got along, they were allowed to swap initiatives. But if they didn't get along, if they were constantly bickering and fighting at each other, they could not. So there was that.
That's a nice little mechanic, I guess.
Yeah,
that's a very interesting thing.
I totally stole that from Dragon Bait. Okay. Yeah.
But one thing I can say about the emotional depth, it's kind of like the idea that it just sort of and their sort of group mind, it's kind of like, well, how are we establishing ourselves that we're going to be doing this as a collaborative operation? That it becomes a sort of like, we're collaboratively doing this. One thing I've never encountered in the all the time, excuse me, all the time I'm playing with these guys since I moved down here, or different groups down here, is the betrayer.
The betrayer.
Or the person who has their own agenda.
Oh, you mean tier?
No, hold on, no, Jeremy. I'm sorry, I had to say that.
It's Jeremy.
Just had to say that.
Has it? Well, I don't know if his agenda's even. I mean, I have run into those. I mean, I'll be honest. I did have one player, one player that's really like that, and in the end, it was like, you are my friend, I am your friend. We love each other, but we cannot play in each other's games.
Mm-hmm.
So we're good friends, but our playing styles are not compatible. And it's not it turned out it was not compatible with everybody else in the game too that was playing at the time. So that's fine. But yeah, less of that sort of own agenda thing, be it good or bad. Because many times you have people who want to write a whole entire beautiful weaving story. It's great. It's a lot of fun if you have the time to do it. But the very fact is, there are 5 other people, 6 other people here who need to be a part of a story too. You know, and I wasn't as good in the past about wrangling that. But I guess now I'm sort of just keen to the signals of it, and therefore I'll either shut it down or just say, I really can't help you with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's because you're just getting angry and old. That's what it is.
You're probably right. It's definitely me getting angry and old. I'm not doing this bullshit anymore.
I will say that was my favorite thing about Walking Dead, was the fact that they force you to, within the game rules, they force you to establish those relationships in the game setup. I think it's important. It gives you kind of a launching pad for your story.
And I think for that particular game, it's important that they have a reason they are connected and staying together, because it's such a world where just going off on your own, doing your own thing, the same thing. I'm not sure about Let's Escape as much, because I haven't looked at how the character generation goes. But it may be it may have similar mechanics. I'll have to let Matt or somebody else talk about that. As far as character generation, when you're building a game as opposed to a one shot. But yeah, it's essential. I mean, like we were playing Aliens, you pretty much either start off as a crew of a ship or you're a group of Marines. So there's automatically that sort of cohesive bond set up in there. When you're playing the One Ring, you're sort of like the party gathered to do a particular mission for your particular patron, be it, Gandalf or Elrond or whatever, So you sort of have these locked in sort of like cohesive party builds, but that are part of the sort of background. But I think with Walking Dead, it's vitally important that you build these relationships are established. Determine like why in this very survival dog eat dog horrible world that I'm sticking it out and keeping this person around.
Yep. Yeah. And you see that through the shows too. I believe it or not, I've now watched over the course of the last year every minute of every Walking Dead show. Because last it was around this time. It was the spring of last year when I committed to doing Walking Dead as part of the Geek Weekend thing, and we were also considering it for the podcast thing. So I said, well, I better not be caught up short and not know something about the universe. And so I watched all the Walking Dead. I watched all the Fear the Walking Dead. I watched all the stuff with Daryl and Carol out in France. I watched Dead City. I watched We're the Ones That Survive. I mean, I've watched every minute of everything, and whoever said it was absolutely right. It is all about the tension and the bonds. There is at the end of it, anybody who's watched as much Walking, even half of that series, knows it's not a story about zombies. It's a story about people being mean to each other.
Yeah, that is what I gathered from when I watched it. I was like,
so it's a story about and if you look at it, it's a story about people making the worst decisions sometimes.
I mean, my problem was they made a lot of decisions in the first episode that made me sort of say, I am not watching this show.
Yeah,
I didn't end up watching the show at all. After watching that first episode, I ended up watching it because I was working at a place that played that show, and everybody gathered to watch that show, and I was just working there, so I saw it. And I was like, well, it's on, fine. That's why I'm here. I'm working because they need people help with all the food and everything else as they watch the show.
I loved the first scene of Walking Dead, and as it went on, it just got more just harder. I guess as things, and it kept, it's like the resources start driving up. You start running into groups of like basically raiders, for lack of better words, and people start doing very ruthless things to keep their groups alive, and which would mirror life, by the way. It would mirror life. People, when people get desperate, you do desperate things that you wouldn't normally do.
Yeah, and
it's not quite the movie The Road. Trust me, that is the worst movie to watch if you have a. That's nothing good about The Road. Even the end is still like oh my god, this is so tough. But it is a very tough, and the system does that. What I liked about the system as Tim played it, you have NPCs who make those bad decisions based on relationships, or just based on because they get mad because they're like they want to run off with another person and take half your shit because they're in love, and they'll fuck everybody else over doing it because they want to get away from your husband. Then the guy's like, I'm taking over. You leave thinking, listen, we'll take. Then you come back, and the dumb son of a bitch has made himself like the goddamn, I don't know, whatever,
Grand King of the junk pile.
Yeah, pretty much. And
yeah,
it's like, and the show reflects that.
And the thing is, for me, it's like, for my role-playing escapism, I'm kind of a little trepidatious about going down that constant path of doom for humanity. I could just turn on the news. So it's kind of like, I want that always in my fantasy, not always. And I think also I was sort of spoiled by a zombie game that I played before.
Well, in Walking Dead universe, they eventually turn a corner and they start building societies. And in that game system, you can do that.
And see, that was the funniest thing I wanted to talk about, Sean. It's like literally a friend of ours, Matt, late Matt, he ran a zombie game, and we played in it and I was like, I'm not interested in playing a zombie game, but I ended up playing the zombie game and loved it. But it was one of those things where we did deal with all those particular terrible people, and then began building a community, and the game became about rebuilding society, or rebuilding a society in this horrible world, which seemed a lot more inspiring as far as I was concerned for me to get involved with the game, as opposed to constantly being a repetitive thing of constantly we have to survive. We have to constantly survive. That goes so long for me. And then it's like, okay, and the thing is, I tend to just sort of wear down on that.
Well, Twilight 2000 sort of like that too, with like you're surviving other groups of people besides the environmental elements.
Yeah.
And that's there's a charm to that game, but there's got to be something eventually good's got to happen because I personally, your character starts devolving naturally. If I play it like a character, if I'm playing like a good, like Rick in the show, if whoever watched, Rick literally devolves into a savage, like killer, just to get whatever he needs to protect his people.
Right.
And then he finally turns a corner when they get to Alexandria. He starts turning a corner. But he gets to the point where one of the reasons the group gets so fucked up is because he just said, we'll just go kill these guys. And it turns out the guys he killed were bigger and badder than they were. And it causes the group a lot of stress.
Call it stress.
Yeah, a lot of stress, let's just say. I don't want to ruin too much of that, but people get that way when
I guess what it comes down to is I like betrayal as a plot twist, but the only way it would really work for me in a role-playing game is if that betrayal was intentionally built in by the GM, because it's the GM's story. Yes. I feel like if a character decides to betray the other PCs, you're stealing the story away from the person that's creating the story.
I don't see it necessarily as the GM's story alone.
Well, it's a collaborative story, but you're stealing it from the other PCs.
But the betrayer steals it from everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Like for instance, using a betrayer as a plot twist is one thing as a GM.
Well, Matt did that with me when my character in one of my games, he did that.
Using a betrayal as a plot twist as a GM is one thing, but when a player character does it and it affects the entire party, it's too wedded, and it's like, well, I mean, people love that's what my character would do, and it's like, why would your character even be going with them, and why would they trust you? I mean, it's like, I have to be in a desperate situation. I have to be in that lost cause, like, I mean, but then again, like Walking Dead, Twilight 2000, Electric State. These are all, I mean, these are all. I forgot the word of the game, but I'm gonna call them doom spiral games. There is no, I mean, for me, I don't see them ever as, they're not campaign games for me. They are seasonal games. Like, we'll play the equivalent of a season that will end with this particular group done. There is not going to be a sunshine ever. It's just going to be a character study of this particular journey and their trials and tribulations, and then it's done. It's not that they were going to be spending years building something. Those aren't those kind of games. Those games don't seem like they're designed in my mind for that.
In Matt Brady's zombie game, and we literally wrote a constitution.
Yeah, it was but but it's also like, depending on, I mean, but those game systems are designed to create the tension and the situations, the desperate nature and the darkness that those worlds are, which are intricate to those worlds as far as being expressed. So if you take those worlds out of those things and put them in different game systems, it doesn't quite work as well. It doesn't have that same feel. So, it is what it is. But as far as like back to the betraying thing, it's just like, when you work against the overall group, the overall story, the overall nature of the party, and even it becomes a disruptive. It can literally, really, it will. I mean, it's kind of really odd to say this, but it will emotionally hurt people.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's sort of just, it can ruin the vibe of the game for a little bit.
I mean,
and then you got to worry about retaliation.
Yeah, I still constantly go over the same situation with, I think, Sean, you recall this, the assassination of Marco.
No, Marcus.
No,
Mark. It was Mark.
I can't remember.
Marcus's
paladin character in that D&D game.
Here comes the comment.
What was that? 10?
No, it's a long time ago. Was
not 10. I mean, I'm talking, that was like 1980, 90 something. 90,
like 89,
88 when this happened. This game a long time ago. But basically, the character, at that time, when you played AD&D, you could play Paladin a certain way, and whatever. It was not the most congenial, but it was the most true to his nature, I guess, of the character. Yeah. But there became a time when other players thought it was the right thing to do to betray him, and they ended up assassinating him in the game.
Yeah, I remember that.
And and most of us were unaware.
Oh yeah, they hid it from it. They hid us from it. Yeah.
We had no idea. We just knew that suddenly we were sort of sitting there waiting, and he was having his encounter, and our paladin goes off, and then he's dead. And we don't know at that time that it's two of the party members that are involved.
That they murdered.
They were actually the ones who perpetrated it. But
by the way, are the founders of the AARPG.
Yeah, they are. It was Nathan and Matthew. It was Matt's characters who did this. The paladin had literally insulted, Matt's character, and had threatened him. And Nathan's character was his half brother, and they're like, "This is my brother, your half brother. You're talking about. We're gonna take you out." But we didn't know all that. We'd seen it happen, but sort of dismissed it because nothing came of it at that immediate moment when that interaction. And they waited a long while before they took their revenge. And it was certain, and it was kind of disconcerting of how do we like when we found out what happened, it was like, well, who would know as far as in the character group?
Yeah, really.
Who in the PC? Who would the characters actually know this?
I think I was playing a ranger. I didn't know it.
And I know I was playing a cleric ranger or something, or ranger. Yeah, she was a cleric or ranger or something. And we didn't, it was like we didn't really have, like most of us would never find out what really happened,
Yeah.
And then when some of our characters did, there's a conflict because we've already moved on so fast. I mean, Marcus just left the game. Like he was like, he didn't want to. He thought about bringing a character to take revenge, but then decided just to get out and leave. He left the game. And it's not the ending is like, Tim, this is not an isolated incident as far as this sort of scenario thing happening in games.
I can't remember being betrayed.
I was a betrayer once, but I had a character kill one of my guys in GURPS because I came into the game and he possessed him.
I guess I sort of betrayed a game once where I got pissed off because the GM was treating everybody like pawns, and he wasn't allowing them to be the heroes of the story, and so I disturbed the game. I disrupted the game pretty badly as a result.
Oh, you
did disrupt that game pretty badly.
That's one where everybody was being forced to stay in a cave or something like that, and I blew up a keg of gunpowder.
Oh, that one
blew up all
I was thinking of a different incident, but yeah. There was that one.
You were organizational terrorist at that point.
There was that one, but I was also thinking about it wasn't actually a disruption of the game. It was kind of like the GM wanted this, and I don't know. It was just kind of anyway. Never mind. I don't think that was a disruption. Other time, I was thinking we should have disrupted a game, we didn't.
There have been a lot of those. Yeah,
and there have been times like I've created a character that was literally just didn't care, so they were in this game but not engaging with the world, because engaging with the world was just a waste of my time.
No.
But that was probably a bad idea, and there was a time when the thing is, what was so funny is like you felt as if you had to play a game with people, as opposed to if there's no harm in just saying I'm going to sit out this one. And at the time I wasn't ready to say that. I was afraid to. I was like, just desperate to make certain I kept all my friends, so I endured it. But I really hated playing that game. I really hated the fact that we were all second tier to the NPCs in that game. And it was like, and I was like, you know what? I don't need to really super engage in this world that you created, because it's not for me. It's for your NPCs.
Oh, here comes the whining. Listen to this fucking bullshit. I told you the paladin threatened to kill my character.
Yeah. I'm not saying
your character was a dick. He was an assassin.
I'm saying.
I'm just kidding.
I wouldn't say the character was a dick. I think actually the paladin was a dick. But
the paladin was a dick.
But the thing is, he believed, based on his alignment, and this is when he stuck to it, that anybody who was not in that alignment, who was was evil and deserved to die. And he was and this other character was only alive because he hadn't got around to it yet. And yet the character, despite his dubious and dark origins and sort of being, had helped us, had been an essential part of our group, had been, yes, he's an assassin, but he assassinated some pretty horrible people we were fighting,
Some people just want to play contrary characters, and they make themselves a target for that sort of thing.
Well, the thing is, I think he did not believe himself to ever be a target, and he believed he was playing in the way the game wanted us to play. And I think a lot of times back then in D&D, alignment was so rigidly enforced that it was horrible. Yeah. Literally, if he stepped out of line and chose to do something contrary to his alignment, he's afraid he's going to lose his ability to be a paladin.
Yeah, and that's how the rules work.
And the GM would do that, if it happened to be the way the GM chose to interpret it as well, which is how it was sort of portrayed. That this is how you should do it. If they just failed to do their
shat and smeared feces on the walls. Sorry.
I mean, even in the last version of D&D that I played, which is the 5th, they said you would lose certain abilities if you stepped out away from your sort of alignment or something, or your sort of god and clerics things. But in the old D&D, it'd be like you're just done.
There was no
and there was no wiggle room or no redemption. You were just done. And so a lot of people were just like just stick with this very sort of rigid way, and I think it also appealed to the player as well.
It did.
It definitely appealed to him because he liked the idea of being righteous and morally superior to anybody, and everyone being beholden to his authority, because he was one of the stronger characters as far as class wise in that game.
No, the paladin could be a tough character, but I remember, like you said, it's that old D&D was so rigid, and a GM could take advantage if they wanted to be a dick. Like if you were, I surrender, the ultimate evil guy surrenders, take me away. Like you're just gonna attack me. I can't. No, you got to take him, and then they just fucking. you're watching them, and all of a sudden they blow up and freaking rip your friend's head, and you're like, "Oh my god, really? You're using the rules against me?"
Yeah, and
So,
a lot of GMs at the time also had the mindset. It was really almost a part of me thinks it's almost propagated, not only by the rules but by the communities at the time, that it was you against the players. And I really always hated that situation because it was like, you have the whole entire universe to throw at these people. What is the real competition here?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's that's the problem my wife has with all role-playing games, is that there isn't a winner. But when it's done correctly, everyone wins, right? Because everybody got to take part in this fantastic story. But there are some people that have that combative mindset.
I think that your wife should maybe definitely try out Brindlewood Bay.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
let's go, girls.
That would be right up, because the thing is, even the way that's constructed, I was thinking about that, is that as the keeper who's running the game, you're not truly. They win if they solve the murder. That's it. You're not. You're, the only obstructions that they come across are ones that they either stir up themselves because they aren't successful enough, and that's usually it.
Yeah, the whole my character would thing. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Kill Bill meets Golden Girls. That's awesome.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
We are thinking about Brindlewood Bay, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Malcolm wants to run it.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
We'll do that right after Sean's Mothership.
Yeah,
that's exactly. I think I was
whenever that is. Supposedly, I thought we were going to do it before Top Secret, so I was like, I have my little handout right here, literally, and I keep showing this to everybody. This is it. Literally, this is the game. That's it. 2 pages. The characters are right there. I just send them to people. They're just got a few, and if I pulled up the site, there's one little thing to get.
But nope. Still, don't worry. It will happen.
It will. It will. And God, it would be just probably. I think everybody would die in an hour. I would. I think we never get to the whole thing because that's the way everybody is. I probably have to put an NBC or 2 in there from the last game we played, Mothership.
Let me just put it this way.
Don't worry, brother. I got you.
With the right crew, you can get through a Mothership.
Yeah.
And like literally, we were in the last game I played Mothership in, I am surprised that I got all the player. I got everybody I went down there with, I think, out of there. Even no, actually I didn't. Nope, that's right. I forgot. Mad Dog died. But anyway,
I thought, didn't my character die in Mothership?
Different game.
Was that Death in Space?
Death in Space.
Death in Space. You died.
Death in Space is the one where
that was Matt. Matt. You were going to die regardless. Matt was going to have a certain amount of characters die, and everybody died in Death in Space. That was the whole thing. Everybody had to die. Even the person at the end died.
Is Matt one of those GMs who's trying to kill?
No, but Death in Space was supposed to be a horror. So Matt, wait a minute, hold it. Matt did have me betray the rest of the party as a doppelganger, and I almost killed the party. He intervened to kill the party because I just planned it too well, because I actually can plan killing a party if I need to.
I was like, Sean, usually with our parties, it's not. You don't have to have much of a plan to kill us all.
Yeah, I mean, it's
like, I leave the gas on in the kitchen.
Yeah,
and we'd all be dead because we're not.
Yes, I light the candle in the living room and turn the gas on while everybody's sleeping and walk out.
The goat spider. I remember that. That was.
Oh yeah, you turned into a goat spider. We had to kill you again.
Yeah. That was. Things are weird then.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
It's okay, in my mind, it's okay to have the betrayals and the backstabbing and all that stuff, as long as it's only like a 2 or 3 session thing. If it's a longer game where everybody's committed and invested for hours and hours of time, and the GM has spent time preparing things and all that, that's a different story.
That's paranoia.
Well, yeah, that's the game that gives me a headache. But there is a different different mental model when you have that level of investment as compared to let's throw together a mothership for 3 or 4 days. I think it'd be fine to have the characters fighting at each other and stuff like that.
Yeah, like I said, it's the investment, but I think it's like a lot of people like it's that long investment that gives the betrayal for them. A lot of people that sort of that'd be perfect, but it's it can, but it can also destroy and and like in the case of like the Paladin, it wasn't the thing is like a lot of us were good riddance to that character.
That's true.
We're kind of like a lot of us were like good riddance to that character, but it was like it had a profound effect on how the party functioned to a certain degree after that. But I think if it happened, if it happened to a character everybody liked,
that
could have broke the party.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, Boromir dying when he dies and sacrifice to save those 2 hobbits after he just threatened everybody is okay because basically he was going off the deep end and was going to take the ring. But
the ring
but if it had been just Gimli who died, we'd be like, what the fuck? Kind of thing. So it depends, and that's the thing. And it depends on how the betrayal pans out with the rest of the universe and the story, I guess, to a certain degree. But anyway, that's my short and end, long and end, I guess, of the betrayal thing. God, I have a lot of D&D crap.
I bet you do. But we are now at the hour mark. We've made up for time.
Oh dear.
So
I thought we were going to 11. So
no,
that's not.
No, it's 10 o'clock. We're at 10 minutes after because we lost the first 7 minutes because we didn't record. Anyway,
what the heck?
But this was a good conversation. I hope everybody enjoyed it.
I hope so too. I'm sorry I was running late
too. The kid stuff was fun. I want to close on this. So my son Braden was running on his birthday when he turned 13. Young, and one of the kids thought it was funny. Started grabbing other player characters and stuffing them in a bag of holding. So Braden didn't know what to do. He's like, "You keep stuffing in a bag of holding," and they're like, he grabbed a gnome. One of the gnome characters stuffed in a bag of holding. He goes, "Braden, they can't breathe in a bag of holding." He's like, he goes, "You could have him pull him out dead," or it was a kid's game because I don't want to do that. I said, "Okay, no problem." But he was just sort of like, "I don't know what to do." I was like, "Welcome to GMing. You got to punish him somehow. You got to make things happen," and because he plays any role. So I thought that was hilarious. But
little did he know that the bag of holding was inside out, and he was the only one in the bag.
Yes, he actually. They were all,
I think you have like 10 minutes of air in the bag.
Yeah, we were all. Are we all not all in a bag?
Because believe me, someone has argued that case to me, so I think it's 10 minutes.
Nathan, punish him. No, Nathan.
Well, God help you.
Listen to Nathan punishing everybody.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you. Yes, it always a thank you, Kilter. So listen, everybody, thank you. We appreciate you joining us tonight while we discuss some things, that are on our mind and gaming in general. Tim, you have anything you want to close with?
No, I just, one of these days I'll have my Thursdays freed up and I'll be able to do this more often with you.
All right, no problem. Thanks. Malcolm?
The best games are the cooperative games.
All right.
The end.
And, yes. And that's good enough for me. All right, everybody. All right. Thank you all and good night. And, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody.
Good, guys.